Today we are taking a look at the Toronto Rugby Union, more commonly known as the TRU. We'll be diving into the new structure of the league, interesting matchups to watch out for, and my picks for teams fighting for promotion to the Marshall. Welcome back to Pitchside with myself, Sean Ryan Radio, the podcast focused on grassroots rugby across Canada. And yes, we are back. I'm super delighted to be able to do another podcast. 2 weeks of hiatus, moved to this new studio, so it might sound a small bit different. We just moved apartments, so it's been crazy. Started a new job. And yeah, there's been a lot going on. So I really do appreciate people's patience and yeah, just getting everything set up. We haven't had the jerseys up on the wall yet. If you're watching on YouTube, just haven't had the opportunity to get them up. They need to be nailed to the wall, unfortunately. It's the only way I'm going to get it up, so I might have to think of a different strategy to use to get them up on the wall behind me. But for right now, we're using a blur just because this is small but messy. I'll be honest with you, this is small but messy. But yeah, that's just a quick life update if you want to know more about me personally. Now, if you do want to help me create content like this, doing podcasts talking about rugby here in Canada at the grassroots level, and we will touch base on the college and university level closer to the start of those seasons. We have not forgot about them, just letting you know. Do check out my Ko-Fi. You can check it out in the link in my Instagram. Which is at Sean_Ryan_radio. You can check me on Instagram. It's also going to be in the description here on YouTube. Still unsure where I actually put it in Spotify, but if you're watching on Spotify, go over to YouTube, find the link there, or go to my Instagram. It's where you can find it. If you want to support me that way, I really do appreciate it. If you can't do that, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. So you get updates on when these podcasts go live. It's normally Fridays at 12 p.m. Ontario time is when I like to start them, just for point of reference. Now, what is the TRU? The TRU is one of the four branch unions of Rugby Ontario, the other three being the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union, the NRU, and the SWRU. It plays a major role in developing players for both the provincial and the international level. And the team that wins the TRU in terms of the club side of things has the opportunity to get promoted to the Marshall and the L, depending on if it's a men's team and a women's team, of course. So that's the importance of the TRU. I would consider one of the bigger unions, just because they do capture Toronto and then some of the outsiding areas as well. The NRU is definitely just as big. And then the Eastern Ontario Rugby Union is the third biggest, I would say, and the SWRU then is the fourth. Is my opinion on it, and I think I'm fairly accurate. But you can let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section if I've gotten that wrong or if there was changes in previous years, because I want to know that too. Now, in terms of league structure and format, we are going to focus on the men's structure this year, today. If you want me to dive into the women's side of things, do let me know in the comments. I do want to know if you want to hear more about women's rugby, let me know in the comments. But there's a lot of stuff happening in the men's, so I said I just do a whole episode on the men's side of things for the TRU. Now, the big changes that are happening, and as I said, there's a lot going on already. There's 16 teams in the league compared to the 12 teams we had in previous seasons, especially last year. The structure will have four groups separated, with four teams in each group, separated by location. And these group names are North, East, West, and City. Last season, we had only the two groups of six, and that was divided by East and West. Each team will play every team in their group twice. And once those 6 games have been finished, the top sides of each of those groups, so the top of the North, the top of the East, the top of the West, the top of the City, they all go to another group for the second half of the season where they will battle each other out for another 6 games. And it's the same for the second side teams, the third sides, and the fourth sides. They don't just have half a season; they have extra games afterwards as well. They'll get to play against competition similar to their own level. So it's a very interesting structure in comparison to what it was last year. But Yeah, I'm super excited. The top team of the top group then will have the opportunity to go to the Marshall League. So that's another bonus for trying to get the top and start off right early in the first half of the season because it's quite important. Now, in terms of the teams, as I said, we're moving from 12 teams to 16 teams, which means there's going to be a few new teams into the mix. And in the north is where we're going to see most of those changes. So Barry RFC, Georgian Bay Titans, North Halton RFC, and Highlands. So Barry RFC got demoted from the Marshall, and we'll talk a bit more about it. So they're a team that's been added. The Georgia Bay Titans, they're brand new to the senior circuit. They did play a small few games in the NRU, I believe, last year, but like at the later stage of the season, so I'm not really counting it as a full season for them. So this is going to be their first season. North Halton and the Highlands were a part of the NRU previously, so they've moved over to the TRU, which is an interesting thing. Now in the east we have Belleville Bulldogs, Brock RFC, we've Coburg Saxons, and Lindsay Griffins. So teams that have been in the East last season, they're playing against each other again this season, which is really fun. In the West, we have Brampton Beavers, Mississauga Blues, Toronto Dragons, and Vaughan Yeomen. Is the West bracket, and then, or the group, sorry. And in the city, Bammy Beach, RFC, Bay Street Pigs, the Toronto Buccaneers, and the Toronto Saracens are for the city. So it's yeah, very competitive group. I think it's very entertaining already with the groupings, and we're having so much different flavor being added into the mix. Now, in terms of the point system, it mimics all the major ones. You got your 4 points for a win, 0 points for a draw, or 0 points for a loss, my apologies, 2 points for a draw, bonus point for 4 tries or more scored, and bonus losing point for losing less than 7 or 1 score. Now, these are some of the teams that I think are going to top the groups. As always, it could be anybody. I'm not a 100% predictor yet, but I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm fairly accurate. Last season's stats for predictions, roughly around 80%. But I'd be more inclined to say I'm 90% sure that these are the teams that are going to top the table. And look, I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to if I get these wrong too, because it just shows that people want to show me up. Is the way I'm going to take it. Now, in the north, I think it's going to be Barry RFC. I think they have the best chance of topping this group. They have been in the Marshall for several years. They've been playing against the top sides in the province for several years. They've been playing at that fast-paced environment. So they're going to be eager. They're going to be hungry to get back into the Marshall. They lost by thin margins last year. Essentially, last kick of the game. No joke. So we could have seen the Toronto Nomads in this mix, but no, we have Barry RFC instead. And I think that's interesting in itself of how that's going to unfold for them. Um, but yeah, I think they have the best chance. The other thing is they probably haven't played the sides in their group before, or they've played them maybe at friendlies or something like that, or it's been a very long time since they played them in their group. So there is that element of kind of surprise, I suppose, is there. But I think they have the capabilities, they have the team structure, they have the pace and everything like that. I think they should top the group in the first half of the season. Now, in the East, Lindsay RFC is my favourite to top the group because last year they were undefeated in the regular season. They played against teams in their group last year, which will give them the upper hand, having the knowledge and structures of how they play. And that's essentially how I think they're going to go. I think they're very competitive, and I think if they can bring that unbeaten regular season record over to them, I think they're going to be the team to top that group. Now, in the West, I'm going to go with the Brampton Beavers. They've claimed the top spot in the West last season for the TRU. They, narrowly missed out in promotion to the Marshall and losing against Guelph in the semi-finals. So they'll be eager to kind of fight back, get the opportunity to showcase their talent as the Brampton Beavers and fight to get back into the Marshall League. In the city side of things, I'm going for the Bay Street Pigs. I'm wearing them right now with my pink jersey on. They are a very competitive side in the TRU. Unfortunately, they haven't had the opportunity to get promoted to the Marshall, but I believe they will be hungry for this season to get W's and to showcase what they're all about. So I think they'll be one of the teams looking to get into those top groups. Now, in terms of matchups, although we only have the first half of the season's matchups, because as I said, we're going to find out the second half of the season after the 6 weeks. Um, these are the games to be looking out for in the first half of the season. And I can't predict on what games we could see later on, but I think they're going to be quite interesting, and we will touch base on a later episode when we get that news. But yeah, we'll start off. So the Georgia Bay Titans and Barry RFC, I've mentioned this a small bit. This has got to be an exciting one. It's the opening game for the weekend for them. And it's going to be Georgia Bay's Titans' first real season, or the first time playing in the TRU. Um, and they're playing against their closest potential rivals, Barry RFC. So geographically, they are the closest team to them. So there is going to be a small bit of overlap. There has been players that have moved over to Georgia Bay Titans to play for them from Barry that are just closer in location more than anything. Um, and it's going to build a bit of tension. I feel that they're going to see people that they played before against. But that's the nature of the sport. That just happens everywhere when it gets to the grassroots level. But this adds a lot of flavor to this matchup because we're seeing a Georgia Bay Titans side. It's a new team, very exciting, and then we have Barry, who were in the Marshall League, very high, highly regarded. So they're going to be battling each other on the first weekend, and I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. And they also play against each other in Barry on the fifth week of this tournament. Now, Vaughan Yeoman versus Brampton Beavers, I think, is the one to be looking out for when you're talking about the west side of things. Both sides were dropped from the Marshall in 2024 and have been eager to climb back up. Both will be focusing on the games both in week 3 and week 4, so back-to-back weeks against these opponents. So these are the weeks that are going to be important to them to get the win, because they both have very talented sides. They both have Marshall League experience. It's not been too far gone that they have lost that knowledge of being in the Marshall League. So I think it's going to be important to see how those two games go. I think that will definitely determine who's going to be top of that group. Now, when we talk about the East, Brock RFC and Lindsay RFC. Now, both sides will be eager to show one another who is the best. And as I mentioned earlier, Lindsay was undefeated in the regular season, but I did not say the full season, because they did manage to lose against Brock in the postseason in the finals. And this just adds a lot of flavouring, a lot of excitement to this matchup happening in both week 2 and then happening in Lindsay on week 6. Now, Bammy Beach and Bay Street Pigs is another matchup to be looking for, and especially in the City group. Now, although Bammy Beach RFC can't get promoted due to the fact that the first team is already in the Marshall, they are a serious competitor in this group, and the Bay Street Pigs are just as competitive. So I think these two sides are going to be battling each other completely to the max to get the wins, because I think these games between these two sides are going to be important to see who tops it. Week 2 and week 6 are going to be those games, and I think you should definitely be keeping an eye out for it. Now, although there are plenty of matchups happening between these sides, these are just the head-to-heads I think will be interesting games to watch and be down and get to the venues. And I'm always excited for an upset. I'm always excited to hear different matches happening. I think we have a very competitive league this year. It makes it extremely difficult for getting to the Marshall League, but we like the competitiveness. We like the structure of it. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds as the weeks go by. Now, in rugby news across Canada, and as we speak about the TRU, here's a quick update on the interprovincial matchups. Now, we are on to the last weekend of the interprovincials. The 2 weeks that I've been not able to record episodes were the start and the second weekend of the interprovincials, and it's been crazy in terms of results. Even just looking from a social media aspect, definitely did not predict it going in. And this is kind of my first year looking at the interprovincial. It's the first year back. So my knowledge of it beforehand, I would have went TRU would have been probably one of the favourites. The NRU, they're the two biggest unions of the branch side of things, from my perspective. So I was thinking these are the two teams to be kind of first and second. And it hasn't worked out that way. It hasn't worked out that way. So the NRU is the top side at the moment. The Thunder, they face the Reds this weekend, but the Reds are bottom of the pack. They haven't won a game yet. This is going to be a big challenge for them, especially fighting the top side, the NRU at the moment, and then the SWRU and the EORU are going to be battling each other as well. As I said, it's the final weekend of matchups, so it's going to be interesting which players are going to be picked for the Ontario Blues. This campaign is basically picking players to get to the provincial level for the Ontario Blues, and then getting seen by higher talent, and potentially get to the international stage is the main aim for a lot of these players. But this is just a stepping stone, so I think there's a lot of talent, and it'll be interesting to see who gets picked for which teams for the Ontario Blues. Now, in coaching news, there's been a lot happened in the 2 weeks, and I'm able to spill some of the announcements here. Lanark Highlanders have announced Andrew Hayes as the head coach for the senior women's team this year. Now, Andrew has over 25 plus years of experience for rugby, both as a player and a coach. He's experienced across Canada, Bermuda, and the USA. He's coached the San Francisco Fog, the Austin Huns, and he's helped coach with the college teams in the USA as well as tournament teams. He specializes in forward play, set piece strategy, and player development, and he's got a strong focus on strength and conditioning integration, player welfare, concussion awareness, and safe return to play. He's been developed through the Crusaders Coaching Academy in New Zealand and has been exposed to elite performance and leadership systems. His coaching style is discipline, adaptability, and focus on building resilient, high-performance teams. So Andrew has big plans for my apologies. Andrew has big plans for Lanark, and I look forward to seeing how it all unfolds for him this upcoming season. Now, over in Alberta, the Clansmen have announced Damien Neal as head coach for the third year in a row. So it's big news that a coach is continuing to be a coach. I think it's always good to highlight this as well, because we are getting a lot of new coaches and stuff like that, and there's a turnaround or whatever. Other coaches are going to different teams, but it's interesting to see that we are seeing coaches get spotlighted for being there longer and being a part of the culture. So. But Damien Neal is an important figure. He's played a huge role in rebuilding the squad after COVID. He's taken the team from missing playoffs to being in the semi-final appearance last season, so that's a big step up for them. He's gained the respect of both the club itself as well as the culture, as well as the players, because they are excited to play with him even. He spent a significant time in Malta, and this is where his rugby knowledge is so important for this team. This includes nearly 20 years as national coach for Malta and technical director. So he's got that national experience. I think if you can bring that down to the club level, it's a big step up for those teams. So it's a big W for him and the club to have such a talented coach. Now, he's going to be focusing on long-term development as his coaching style. He's building standards, culture, and accountability, and he aims to help players grow on and off the pitch. So overall, he's a highly respected coach, a proven track record for turning programs around, and he's a key figure for both the Clansmen and the Edmonton rugby scene as a whole. So he's excited to do another year with the Clansmen. I'd say they're going to be very lucky. I will keep my fingers crossed that they get a final, because the way they've been working, the way they have this planned out with him, I think they have the potential to go to the final and maybe get some trophies in the cabinet, yourself. But very talented coach, and it's really cool to see his side of the story as well. Now, another coach for the senior women's head coach of the Toronto Scottish, Jeffrey MacDonald, is taking charge as the head coach. If you don't know Jeffrey, he's a Toronto Scottish alumni returning to the club in this new role. The club is excited to have him on because of the impact he'll bring to this squad on and off the field. He's got a strong background. He's had 6 years with Queen's Varsity Rugby. He's won 5 OUA championship titles, and he's represented Canada with the Maple Leaf Sevens program. Now, he's played for the Toronto Scottish both in the 2012 to the 2027 season throughout, so 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. And then he came back as well to play in 2022 and 2023 as well. His coaching experience includes Northern Secondary School as a guest coach, the Greenwood College School Junior Sevens, and then also the international experience with Erksenland Rugby Club in Stockholm. So I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong. I think I got it on the bun, but yeah, interesting to see he has some Swedish rugby experience as well in there. So what he brings to this team is a high performance playing experience, a deep understanding of the Toronto Scottish culture, and the coaching style centered on growth and long term development. And off the pitch, he's going to be working. He works as a teacher in Midtown Toronto, and he has a strong focus on development, learning, and leadership. So he's going to be an important figure for this team. They will be fighting to get up to the Owl Premiership this year. So I think he's a key man. He's a good mindset, and I think the Toronto Scottish need to build on their structure this year. I think it's a very important thing, and I think from what I've seen online, they are making the necessary steps to build a culture that they want. Now, international news. As some of you might know, because it has been 2 weeks since they've done this podcast, Rugby Canada have announced their men's 15s international fixtures happening in Edmonton and Winnipeg. The Winnipeg one just happened recently. So the teams that they will be facing, they're facing Spain and Portugal in Edmonton in the opening weeks of July. And then they will play Zimbabwe in the third week of July in Winnipeg this year. So I'm really excited about this team. I'm looking at my bank account. Maybe I'll make my way out. If not, I'll try and get to Winnipeg. I don't even know how I'm going to do this. But I would be super excited to get down to the games. And even if somebody has a spare couch that I can stay for the 2 weeks, that would be fantastic. That would be cool. So if you do want to help me out, do email me. And I will let you know my email address later on in the show. We're closing up to the end of the show anyway. But I'm really, in terms of the team, in terms of what I expect, I really hope that this Canada team get 3 big wins. We need 3 big wins to show that we're competitive. Because I think last year when we had those games in Edmonton and Calgary, I think we definitely showed the potential of what we could do. We narrowly lost some of those games. And I think if we can get 3 wins this turnaround for these international fixtures, I think we would definitely be on a nice up climb to be competitive in the World Cup. I think we certainly have the capabilities to cause some chaos. And I think these 3 games are going to be vital for the rest of the world to know that we are a competitive side here in Canada. So wish the boys the best of luck. Steve Mean, pick the right choices, please. We want some wins, we want some W's. That's what the fans are hungry for right now, especially leading up to the 2027 World Cup in Australia. As I said, we're closing up the episode. Before I kind of get into the whole spiel of the closing, I just want to say thank you so much for everybody being so supportive in the last 2 weeks, holding tight for me to do another episode. I know it's an important thing to happen, or it's a very impactful thing to happen when you kind of disappear from social media or haven't had a big presence in the last 2 weeks. As I said, doing the moving. New job started, trying to get everything organized. How was I going to do this podcast, work schedule, trying to figure it all out. And I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to do this podcast again, and have a structure in place of what way I want to do it. So I'm really delighted that's happened. I'm delighted that people are back to watch this episode both on YouTube and listen on Spotify, and then catching all the clips on Instagram for all the important bits that you want to hear. But if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. And you can also find me on Instagram at Sean_Ryan_radio. That's where I post a lot of the information and stuff like that. That's where I get a lot of my information about the scene, both from players aspect, both from clubs, about coaches, X, Y, and Z. You'll find it first there, but you can also listen to it on the podcast as well. If you want to be a part of the show, as I said on my story a couple of weeks ago, that internet was a big thing. I wasn't going to do an episode until we had proper internet. We got it at the weekend, so I'm able to do this episode, and it's going to upload fairly quickly in comparison to what was happening last time. So if you want to be a part of the show, want to do an interview with myself, talk about your story, whether you're a coach, club president, whether you're a player who wants to get more spotlight, let me know. I want to talk about it. We do have a few people already interested in, so I'm going to have to schedule those. But yeah, if you do want to be a part of it, do send me an email, see what we can do. More than likely it's going to be Monday or Tuesday for scheduling wise. as of right now. Could change closer to the summer, depending on work. But for right now, Monday and Tuesday are the dates to be looking out for if you have availability at those times. If you want to help me cover more Canadian rugby, even more, you can support the show on Ko-Fi as well. Every little bit helps for this podcast. It helps with, having the internet, having, upgrading the equipment and stuff like that, getting to games, documenting it, having the right software to be able to do this podcast quickly and easily and give you the best experience of a podcast. Um, so if you do want to help, check out the Ko-Fi. Link in my Instagram bio is probably the best spot, but I will have it in the comment section or the description, my apologies, of YouTube. Uh, I'm still unsure where I put it in Spotify and where it shows up, but you're more than likely go to Instagram, go to YouTube as well, and that link is there to do so. We also have links in that link specifically of Type 5 apparel. If you haven't seen it, I've worn their stuff before on the show. Really cool stuff. If you want 15% off SR Radio, get 15% off. It helps me, helps you. So if you do want to check them out, really cool apparel. You can check that out. But do use the discount code because save yourself some money and look cool at the same time. But yeah, in the next episode, we will dive into more excitement of rugby happening here in Canada. Is it going to be an interview? Is it going to be me talking more about different unions, different provinces? I just don't know yet. But we will talk more about rugby in Canada, and that's for certain. But until then, I'm Sean Ryan, and this has been Pitchside.